Welcome, Internet Capitalists, to episode 32, I believe, of The Big Show. A little bit unique today, coming to you from Anguilla, the British West Indies. Ben is at home in a chilly but warming up Charlotte, North Carolina, the financial capital of the New South. Benjo, how are you?
Pretty good. Everyone on crypto Twitter is losing their shit because their meme coins and their altcoins are down horribly and they own no Bitcoin. So it's pretty funny to watch, but yeah, I feel pretty good.
Good. Before we jump into the show, today is one of the quintessential days in the American football. It is the AFC and NFC championship game. So really quickly, Ben, we're going to do our picks. Ben, your pick for the NFC championship game. The Philadelphia Eagles or the Washington Commanders? Go.
Commanders.
I'm
Bills.
also
Commanders, Bills.
all right. I am going to take Commanders and Bills as well. Bills as well.
With all of America, basically.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll come back to that a little bit more during Super Bowl Sunday show, but let's move on because we have a lot of topics today. The first topic is one I think that's a little bit different. Ben, you're going to talk a little bit about what led to your decision to kind of withdraw a little bit from the more active trading side of things and just be in spot crypto.
Yeah, well, I was trading perps again. I stopped for a little bit, then I started again, and then I was in the meme coin trenches for a bit. And I mean, it's a lot of work. It takes a toll on you mentally, and there's only so long you can stay in the trenches like that. And at a certain point, especially in the current market that we're in, if you're not like a TA second by second trader, there's not a whole lot of alpha anymore in terms of just buying random altcoins all day. And you can snipe meme coins for sure, but it's gotten a lot more difficult after Trump. And this is part of my meme coin thesis. I think we reached the pinnacle. I think it's downward from here. Of course, you're going to have some more runners, but the people who are saying this marks the beginning of the golden age of meme coins, I think are completely wrong. This is the pinnacle. This is the magnum opus of the meme finance movement. How can you beat the president of the United States launching a personal meme coin 3 days before his inauguration as president of the United States? You can't. That's the top. You actually cannot go up from there. So I think this marks the top. I think that this stuff still exists, but it looks different. It's not going to be random meme coins that keep running. We had meme coin season. This was the last leg of the trade. And I just don't see as much alpha there anymore. And there's other sectors, such as social tokens, social apps on Solana, I think will be the next evolution of their top product. But I think if you're just in the meme coin trenches all day, you're going to have a really rough time. You can just look at the PopCat chart. You can look at the WIF chart. You can look at any blue chip meme coin chart from Solana, and they're getting absolutely wrecked while Bitcoin sits at 104,000 US dollars. So I think this is it for that.
Wow. Magnum opus. Well, I tell you what, it would not make me sad if meme coins went the way of baseball cards and they occupied a small part of the crypto space and people worked on generating, tokenizing everything and moving our financial system in that direction. So that's interesting to hear.
Well, to be clear, I don't think the end of these Ponzi games just run it up and dump on everyone is over. Far from it. It's just the meme version of that's over. I think we get a next evolution that involves social finance, SocialFi, a second attempt at friend tech type apps is popping up, especially on Solana. And the next evolution of these games on Solana just won't look like the current meme coin meta that dominated the last year. So I'm betting on this being social enabled apps as the consumer UX gets easier and easier. And you're seeing some apps pop up doing that. And that happens. And then two, I think you see a bunch of, I think you see a DeFi Renaissance of sorts. Nothing legitimate. Ethereum really is the only viable solution for institutional DeFi with legitimate use cases. But in terms of a DeFi summer type of crypto native crypto games that you can just play and everyone knows it's kind of a game, it's going to fall apart at some point. That's going to reignite on one of these new chains that we get. So there's a few candidates. There's Bear Chain coming, and that has a lot of potential, a lot of funding, a lot of incentives. There's Monad, which who knows when that's going to launch. I kind of fallen out of favor. That was the leading upcoming chain just a few months back, it seemed, but you don't hear as much about it. And then my favorite pick is Hyperliquid. And I actually think I haven't been as confident in a bet, haven't identified as much with a chain as I have before Hyperliquid now. And I didn't
Yep.
even get a huge airdrop from Hyperliquid like everyone. I just think I'm seeing all the pieces of a consumer DeFi renaissance. What you could do on Ethereum back in the day before fees were super expensive, before it got super hard to transact there, is going to happen on Hyperliquid. And I think that is going to take hold once their Hyper EVM mainnet launches, which is upcoming.
Gotcha. And there'll be more access to that EVM besides through this singular bridge, I assume they're working on. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like the issue right now is it's not listed. By more bridges, you mean you can bridge from multiple places. It doesn't have to be Arbitrum. That's just where the one is. I believe there's other bridges that you can get from other places, other L2s, for instance, and even Solana
Oh,
bridges are popping up. But and that's really all you need. It's just bridges between chains and then sex bridges also. So Coinbase, whatever it is, and it's not listed on those yet. Interestingly, even though it is like one of the top tokens, top
yep.
25 tokens by market cap, and really it's probably because it's a competitor with Base and others, but it should be listed soon enough just because the trading volumes, the mind share is going to be so robust.
We talked a little bit about this before, but I don't trade the perps, but I own Hype and I bought it on their platform. Their platform is amazing. And I don't know what they want to do with their technology, but clearly, to me, classic example of an acquisition target for someone like Coinbase to replace what they have, or Robinhood, or shit, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, somebody like that wants to have instant trading. Now that's a stretch on those last two because the cultures are so different, but what they've developed is pretty damn cool.
Well, I think it's they're developing a competitor to all those. They're aiming to overtake Coinbase volumes in terms of a DEX, and I think it has a real shot. So I think it's going to be an L1. It's going to be decentralized. They're up to they only had 4 validators to start. Now it's up to 14, and that's increasing as the Hyper EVM comes close to launching. But I believe that it has a real shot to be the next big L1 to break out, and it's the first that I've seen with a real. It has the community piece, it has the builder piece, the UX piece. It has a lot of mind share already, and it's just a great product, great experience. And there's a gap in the market there. No one is doing consumer DeFi like it was back in the day. It's capturing the mind share of a lot of DeFi oriented people because, to be honest, where are you going to go? Ethereum L1's expensive. It's hard to transact there. It has the most liquidity. That's for whales. That's for institutions. That's where it's going to be. That's fine. But you go to L2s and the liquidity just isn't there. Even on some L2s it is, but for bigger players it certainly is not. And the fragmentation is still an issue, and that's been worked on. But for right now, it's not the greatest DeFi experience, depending on which L2 ecosystem you're in, and it could be improved. And then on Solana, they have somewhat of a DeFi ecosystem, but it's just to enable speculation on meme coins and other random coins. It's not true DeFi. So I think if they can get stable coins, if they can get bridged spot assets like ETH, Bitcoin, etc. on there, it has a real shot to take that sector. And that's a huge market opportunity.
So I think another advantage, don't they offer a very broad range of assets that you can buy in spot or in perps, like 50, 60, 70?
Spot is more limited right now, but perps for sure. Yeah. And perps are easy to integrate new assets in, but they're working on the spot. And again, I just think it's the Hyper EVM mainnet's going live soon. I think it's just a good trade, and I haven't felt more confident on something in crypto for a while. I just think it really is going to be the next L1 that breaks out there, and they're doing something legitimate. They're good builders. It's a fantastic product. Still the best crypto product I've ever used, on-chain crypto product for sure. So yeah.
And Ben, one thing that's a little bit different on how you use them is you basically sign into their application, and then you can make transactions without having to go back to your wallet every time and approve them, which is really slick.
Yeah, to transfer margin between accounts, like your spot account, and then transfer margin back to the perps account, you have to do a transaction. But whenever you're trading perps, for instance, you can open positions, close positions, do other actions without having to sign every single time, which is great. And this is coming to other networks. UX is getting better everywhere, but they really have built a super good product. And I think that they're going to bring that ethos to all of the products in the ecosystem. And they're really setting up with the DeFi crypto finance mission in mind, and that is their sole focus. And I really
Yep.
like that from an L1, knowing what their purpose is, knowing what they're going for, and I think there's a lot of potential here. If Sui can
Wow.
trade up to 50 billion plus market cap, Hyperliquid is less than half that right now. Mainnet goes live; they're going to have way more users, and the metrics, the volumes on it has 80% of the crypto burp volume. It's ridiculous,
Wow.
and that's the metrics are only going to increase. If you like the cash flows aspect of valuing crypto like we do, it's a great value buy at this point, also compared to Uniswap, compared to others. So I like it for a variety of reasons.
That's interesting. I guess what that all ties into, and we'll get to this a little later, is that no one's scared of regulations like flowing cash flows back to token holders or whatever you want to do with that now. That's all sort of temporarily suspended for the next 4 years.
Yeah, they buy back
so that's great.
Actually, with their fees. They buy it back. Yeah.
So great. All right. Well, this is a good start. Ben, let's move on now. What do you have that handy in front of you? What we're going to talk about here next?
I do not.
Let me pull that up. Lots of big stuff this week, I believe, relating to the flurry of things done by Trump. And the next one that let's talk about a little bit is his executive order to create the U.S. Crypto Task Force. I can pull this up. Well, let's just talk about it because I'm not sure how I can actually show this easily.
Well, I'll just zoom out for one. A comment about the markets and the developments in government. So it's funny because people are super depressed on crypto Twitter because of the markets. And it's funny because Bitcoin is within a few percent of its all-time high. It's just sitting up there completely fine. But meme coins are down terribly from their highs. That kind of speculative fervor has ended. DeFi AI tokens are down. All things are down. ETH hasn't even come close to its all-time high this cycle. So if you weren't holding a lot of Bitcoin, you feel like you haven't squeezed the most out of the cycle. And really, unless you had proper asset allocation with buying the few assets, whether it be meme coins, whether it be Trump coin, whether it be a few of the DeFi AI plays early, whatever it is, then your returns are not great this cycle. So asset allocation really matters. But everyone's depressed. So that's one thing to keep in mind. They're just already depressed. And then we get all of this good news. So we have Trump lots of meme coins signaling very, very dovish stance on crypto. We have the crypto task force. We have just yesterday Elon Musk stating that they're looking to integrate blockchains to streamline government activities through Doge. You have all kinds of stuff that's crazy, and this is all super good news. But price isn't really moving, and people feel depressed about the markets. So that's kind of where we are. And if you just focus on these fundamentals, like the crypto task force, it is absolutely fantastic news. And it just kind of positions us over the next year for a really good run for crypto assets, just because it has been de-risked for the institutions. We're getting more ETFs, and they feel like they can actually allocate without some ginormous systemic risk. And that's huge. So that's kind of the state of where we're at. And I don't know the specifics about the crypto task force other than their goal is to figure out how to regulate crypto in a way that is both safe and promotes innovation. And this is all good. So any thoughts on your end? And we got the strategic stockpile of crypto asset announcements this week. So that was the other crypto news. So it's all this going at once. We got a Senate committee for crypto assets. I forget what it's called, digital assets, perhaps, led by Wyoming's Cynthia Lummis, and it's all good news, but the markets feel misaligned. So do you have any thoughts there, or any thoughts on what you read about the government initiatives?
So the crypto task force, if you read through the people on the committee or the task force, it's legit people. It's legit people from the commercial sector, and it's people like the Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Commerce, SEC, the commodities guy. They're all on that working together. And we talked about a lot about deregulation, but one of its stated outcomes is to provide appropriate regulation when they know what it is, which I think gets back to your point of that tends to soothe the markets. They know they're get people instead of what's it called, enforcement by lawsuit, like Gensler did. Now it's more, all right, let's make a concerned, informed approach to this to see where it goes. And that time to do that is definitely not now. Innovation has to happen. The other thing that this was actually interesting brought up to me on one of the discords I'm in. Um, Actually, this was a group me of the football coaches I used to coach with. One of the guys was concerned about the executive orders potentially enabling a central bank digital currency. Well, in fact, it does the exact opposite. It explicitly bans the Treasury Department or SEC from even thinking about doing anything for a central bank digital currency in the U.S., which, at its heart is a very libertarian, very crypto-centric thing to do. So I think that's good. The other comment I had, and this is a big picture comment, all the people online, let me put it this way, the community's changing, right? The people online that wanted to have their bags go up 4x are not happy because they haven't. But the bigger picture is so bullish because the people whose bags are 4,000 times everybody's online are now coming into the market. And that's only, like you said, only good for the industry. Sad thing is, maybe some players get washed out. But the good thing is now there's going to be players that can guarantee things like worldwide access for underdeveloped countries because they have the financing and the money to buy USDC in the billions just to make that the liquid asset, for example. So I think there's going to be a turnover on crypto Twitter of the degens out and more traditional finance in.
Maybe. I don't know. I see crypto in two ways. I think I agree with your general sentiment, but I do think that crypto is two things. It is one, a world changing technology that is destined to replace the existing financial infrastructure because it is simply better. That's one. Two,
Yeah.
it is the world's greatest casino. And the thing is, a lot of the people, especially on crypto Twitter, are playing the casino game. And we all know it. You should know it. You should have the focus of playing the casino game to rotate profits back into good assets, which I believe are Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think ETH is a good asset over the long term too, for a variety of reasons, which we've talked about. But it's almost two separate things. It's two separate worlds. Some of the news matters, like just the fact that the government is more lax regulatorily on our industry, that they're promoting these things, that they're saying that institutions can buy them. That's all great. But then there's these other things. It doesn't really matter that much to your random meme coin, to your random altcoin, whether the government takes this policy approach or that policy approach, whether they apply these rules or those rules. It almost doesn't matter at all. And you're really playing a narrative rotation game where you're just trying to play in that casino, and that's fine. But these are almost completely different things, and I think that's the number one thing. So I disagree in that you see a washing out of degens because we're not leaving. No one's leaving. Everyone, if you lose some people who lose all their money leave, but that's it. Like the casino is always going to be here, 100%.
All right, let me put it this way. I tend to agree with that. Let me put it this way. Let's say the degen growth of crypto used to be at least linear and exponential at times going up. I think that slows as a proportion of total crypto Twitter users. Put it that way. I think a bunch of normies and big companies and stuff like that flood to crypto Twitter looking for safer type investments. And those people, I mean, there's more of them in the world by a factor of like 7 orders of magnitude. And I think that could come to dominate. So yes, depending on who you follow, I think it could be the same. I'd agree, but I think overall the proportion of degens to people like Larry Fink is going to flip.
Well, if you're talking about crypto investors, I agree. Crypto Twitter, I don't agree, because I don't think like random normies from real life are going to go on crypto Twitter, follow these people with PFPs using these weird slang terms that crypto Twitter has come up. Crypto Twitter is really 8,000 to 10,000 key players, key opinion leaders, but people with followings who have protocols, are investors, are random anons with followings, those people. And then like another set of 100,000 people maybe across the world, like around that, following them.
Yeah.
That's what crypto Twitter is. I don't think maybe it grows, but I think the number of crypto investors and people who seriously consider crypto and know something about it grows. But crypto Twitter is probably going to, the growth probably does plateau a bit, but it just stays the same. I don't think you see normies come into this because it is a weird world and it's just a weird place to exist in. You have to have a variety of weird characteristics to be here and find your way to crypto Twitter, I think.
So what are you saying about us?
Oh yeah, we're 100% in that group.
Okay.
100%.
um,
This world is filled with people who it's very smart people typically, but
yeah.
it's a very specific subset. And yeah, so I think only people with certain personality characteristics make their way, and that probably won't change because otherwise you see this stuff and
Yeah.
what's going on.
So it's funny that you bring that up, and this gets back to related to that, but also another show we did. Um, the football coaches group I'm in is a very diverse set of people and age groups. Um, most of them firmly in the Trump MAGA camp. Um, now that Trump has come out, no other way to put it, it's hugely pro crypto. All the old guys who were Trumpers, crickets. They don't want to talk about crypto at all. That's like not part of the policy. It's not what's supposed to happen. The young folks are sponges for information.
Mm-hmm.
And at least my experience was they listen. It's like, look, before you do any of this other bullshit, you got to buy Bitcoin and eat and hold it.
Mm-hmm.
That's your number
Yeah.
one goal. And I would say that's the 24 to 30-year-old group. And then the next level up is maybe the 30 to 45. Those guys actually are stepping their toes a little bit begrudgingly into the crypto sphere. But there's also people in that group that don't even want to talk about it. It's like it's the biggest innovation. It's the biggest thing Trump's done, period, since he's been in office. And it's like, well, that's not part of our party. And it just makes it's funny that that's the case, but it's good that the young people are embracing it in a reasonable way. They're not just gambling anymore. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I do agree that I think Trump's approach to technology is the single greatest thing that he's going to do. I don't even know about. I agree with him on some social issues, some broader economic issues, whatever it is. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. But his approach to technology, to crypto and AI is going to by far outweigh all his other decisions, even though in the minds of your regular MAGA person, Trump supporter, it's not as big of a deal. It is by far the biggest deal of what he's done because it is diametrically opposed to the direction we were going and it's steering us in the right direction. So it is absolutely massive. And if you're a young person, the world is changing very, very fast. AI is getting exponentially better. Crypto is being integrated into the financial system now. This is where all of the alpha is in terms of your life. You should learn how to use AI tools. You should learn how to invest and use crypto assets. Like it's crazy because if you even young guys are picking stocks, they're doing meme finance stuff, but if you're doing that stuff, the returns in crypto were just so much greater. If you just use these protocols and got an airdrop, your returns sometimes are boosted by two. I doubled the amount of money that I had in my portfolio through an airdrop about 8 months ago, and that's only possible in crypto, and that's where all the alpha is. So I think young people recognizing the signs of this is the way the world is going, and now that we're enabled by the government via Trump's administration, it's only going to accelerate, and you should really double down on these things. So I don't understand the resistance. I think a lot of people absorbed the negative messaging, the incorrect messaging about crypto from the mainstream medium, from the FTX thing, and they didn't take a moment to think critically about it or really understand it. And that's what's preventing most people from seeing it as the opportunity it is.
Yeah, Ben, I want to correct one thing you said. I don't necessarily think Trump's got around to enabling crypto yet, but he clearly took his foot off the throat of crypto like past administrations did and just let it be. Said, look, this is an emerging, developing technology. Let's just let it go for a while and see what happens instead of enforcement by lawsuits.
In my mind, that's enabling it. That's what the government's supposed to do.
Okay,
Let the private sector innovate. I don't really want the government involved in private markets and in funding and crypto. It's private, it's public markets, but terminology. But I don't want the government involved in the development of the tech. They should be there to enable it, in a way that minimizes any potential downside risk. And before that wasn't even close to what they were doing.
Right.
So I think just these orders right at the beginning have already done far more for the space than he could do. And if this is all they did and got some legislation in place, as opposed to the executive orders are great, but legislation stands the test of time. That's why we have it. It's permanent rule sets. And if they can get a few pieces of legislation in place for how to treat legitimate crypto projects so that they can be integrated by real companies, and two, their approach to stablecoins, if they do those two things and just let us go, other than that, that's fantastic.
Yes, agree, 100%. Hey, I want to ask you though something also that was an executive order, I guess. Tell me about this Russ Ulbricht guy.
Ross Ulbricht,
Ross.
He about 12 years ago he created Silk Road, which was it's a black market. It's a market that you could use Bitcoin to buy things. It was like an open thing, but because back at the time Bitcoin was hard to trace, it wasn't fundamentally hard to trace, but people just didn't have the tools. It wasn't a widely understood thing. People would use it to buy drugs and other things. And he ran this market. He was a 26-year-old, something like that, who created this market. And he ended up getting arrested and the whole thing was shut down. And he was sentenced to some insane term, like 4 life sentences. And
Four?
yeah, something like that. And since then, he has been a libertarian symbol for economic freedom, for being able to build things. And he's been in jail for 12 years since that happened. And Trump pardoned him. And I don't really have like a strong stance on 4 life sentences seems a little excessive. Like he had the ability to shut down this market where illegal things were happening and he didn't, but he just built a market that could use Bitcoin at the same time. So it's a little bit of a tough thing, but he was pardoned by Trump via executive order, and he's now out of prison, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, I think if the test is if someone uses my market for something illegal, then the people that created the market has to go to jail. Well, let's just shut down Facebook. Let's shut down everything because it's not like those are pristine markets either.
Well, to be fair, have, if someone was selling drugs on their platform, they would have to take it down. They don't enable anything that's illegal.
I see. Okay.
If something's illegal, they have to take it down. And yeah, if it's speech, yeah, but it's their platform. So I believe under that circumstance, they are obligated to monitor those things. If it's speech, then they aren't obligated to moderate speech. But if illegal activities are happening, such as human trafficking, such as drug dealing, and they identify it, they have to remove that.
Gotcha. All right, so that's him. Now, Tornado Cash guy, he get pardoned as well? And he did. He's still in jail.
Yeah, I'm not up to date on the specifics of this. I know he did not get pardoned, though.
Okay. Now, this may have been just some craziness on crypto Twitter, but I thought I saw a court reverse the decision that said smart contracts are not property. They are like just they're standalone entities. So that once deployed, the smart contract creation can't flow back to the creator, which is the Tornado Cash issue, basically. So I'm not sure if that's true or not. We'd have to double check that. But if that's the case, it seems like he should be moving towards freedom as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I know SAB 121 was struck down by Trump via executive order, which was essentially stating that banks have to hold crypto assets on their balance sheet as liabilities, which was a huge accounting issue. And I know that was struck down. Outside of that, I'm not sure of the specifics of the other EOs or any other signaling that Trump admin has made about how they're going to treat specific issues.
Gotcha. All right, let's talk a little bit about tokenization. Big news this week. Larry Fink says he wants the SEC to greenlight tokenization of more or less every traditional finance asset in the world as soon as possible. The entire finance industry worldwide is approximately 110 trillion. That's a lot of assets. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this before. I think it really is the biggest innovation in crypto. It's already happened, and we've said it before. It's just regulation waiting to happen. I think that's going to happen. Like I've explained my view on this multiple times. It's just obvious that it's a better system because the efficiencies you basically eliminate the need for all of this 50-year-old infrastructure to be able to move assets around, to double check, to have clearinghouses in between to make sure no one's committing fraud, all this stuff. You just use a blockchain instead and it handles all of that. And then you also get these interoperability benefits where you can have assets on a blockchain and you can send it anywhere in the world. You can use it with these open systems. You can use it in closed systems. You can use it in both. Things just all work together because it's a public network like the internet. So it's extremely obvious if you think about it for half a second that this is a better use than the old system. And it's, you
Yep.
really thought that the financial system that was architected in the 60s and 70s was going to last for the next 100, 200, 500 years? Of course not. So it makes sense. And Larry Fink is aligned on this vision, and he controls most of the assets, the most assets in the world. So that's a good thing. And I think this was always inevitable. And this, along with Bitcoin's as a oppositional force to the decline of the debt-based fiat monetary system, that's Bitcoin's place, and then Ethereum as the platform for this tokenized movement. Those two things are secular trends that are just going on forever. And everything that's happening in crypto in the medium term is not noise, but it's useful innovation that kind of adds on to those two core themes that are ongoing over multiple years and decades.
So on the note of tokenization, Circle and Tether are the two largest organizations that essentially tokenize the U.S. dollar, and they make gazillions of dollars. They just print money. This week, I saw a note that Circle bought a company or a protocol or something called Hashnote, and I believe Hashnote is in the business of real world assets and tokenizing real world assets. I don't know exactly what kind, but that's the direction we need to go. And having a very credible player like Circle doing that, I think, is good for the industry because they have deep pockets, they can do it right. They know how to mint, for example, across multiple networks. So I thought that was a much smaller but still great example of how tokenization is spreading like wildfire.
Yeah. I don't really have many comments on this because, to be honest, like for me, it's not less interesting. It's just a very clear use case, very clear trend. And then my mind as an investor and a trader goes to, how do I make money? And you can buy real world asset tokens for DeFi protocols like Ondo, etc. And there are some limited trades that you can make there, and those might turn out to be good investments. But other than that, it's kind of hard to profit off of that. So I don't have any other thoughts other than this
Fair
makes
enough.
complete sense, and it's going to continue to happen.
You know what? You're doing exactly what Steven said to do. Stay in your lane, because once you get outside of your lane, things start to go to hell in a handbasket quickly. So it's good you're able to identify that. All right, two more things. Want to change directions a little bit here. Big news this week was Stargate. And for those of you that don't know, Stargate was an announcement that SoftBank, Microsoft, OpenAI, some others, over the next, 5 or 10 years are going to invest $500 billion to build what I'll just generally call AI infrastructure in the United States. And Texas was the first place they mentioned. Huge proponents of it. I'm a huge believer in AI. I was a skeptic. I'm a believer now because I use it. And I also believe that we're very close to reaching what many people would classify as a singularity, where AI looks like magic to the ordinary user because it's so capable, and we're moving towards AGI. We can get into what we talked about just before the show, but there's no doubt that $500 billion by these companies moving into AI is a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know the specifics here about, I assume it's just going to fund companies to build out this infrastructure. So that's good. Yeah, I have almost no thoughts on this, to be honest. I think that's good. I do think that the recent development of DeepSeek, a new Chinese-based AI model, is throwing a wrench in this because Sam Altman and OpenAI raised hundreds of billions of dollars, and apparently these Chinese dudes built a better model that can run locally. It's open sourced and it's cheaper for $6 million. So I don't know what this means. I don't know how this develops. I do think that this kind of marks China's re-entrancy into the AGI race. So that's something to keep your eye on. But outside of that, I don't have much other opinions.
All right. Well, I want to segue a little bit of a personal pump here. So using the Codex toolkit this past week, I took a deep dive into creating an automated social/trading bot called Blue Candle AI on Twitter. It's at Blue Candle AI. And it's, I don't want to say it's AGI, but it's groundbreaking. The creation process requires no coding. There's not a demo like the Coinbase guys put out where you had to open the terminal, type some, Linux style commands, write some Python code, all that kind of stuff. It literally is describing in human words what your trading strategy should be, and if optionally describing again, just typing it in what your persona for the bot should be if you wanted to hook it up to Twitter. And it's definitely still beta, but the results are pretty cool. It can create limit orders on Odos right now and other protocols, buys and sells, monitors your portfolio. And one thing to me that most people think is stupid, but I just love, is that there's a chat interface where I basically made a mistake, sent the wrong token in. I just typed in, can you send my op from this wallet to this wallet, return? Asked me, and it parsed that, brought up a confirmation window. I clicked it, magic happens, and my op tokens are back in my wallet just from me typing it in. Now, that's not what we want to get to, but to me, this is the kind of use case where AI provides real great examples. And they're hooked up to OpenAI. I think it's the 4.0 model on the back end to do all this. So for a person of my experience, which isn't much in the space, this kind of bot to do these things is moving towards where it needs to be. Not there yet, but it's really incredible to see. And I encourage everyone to go check out Codex for more information on this. So Ben, I don't know. I don't think you've done this yet, but it's really cool stuff to get normies integrated in the space.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think they're cool toys. I'm still somewhat skeptical about if you're going to be able to convince a normal person, like my fiance, like whoever, to use this for financial actions. Because people are used to GUI apps basically. Yeah. But I think it's a good step for more crypto native people to use. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because there's this race between these account abstraction wallets, which you can program them basically, and then you can create basically any user interface you want for crypto apps instead of having to sign every single time. And I think these type of chat interfaces will be integrated in there, whether that's the winning tool. I don't know, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone, and I think it shows what the technology can do. You still have to be somewhat of a degen to use it. Well, the funny thing is everybody on there is a degen using it. They know how to use it, but it clearly is a different level of interfacing than typically is needed to do anything. And basically, I wrote it on one of the Discords. My goal here is for not to lose all my money immediately, and thus far, it's not doing that.
Nice.
Yeah. So, all right, Ben. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. Hopefully, the bull market continues. I think it will, but markets are in a very interesting place. So we'll see. Bitcoin's been above 100K for over a week now, but it's just kind of sitting there, and we'll see what happens.
All right, that sounds good. Well, everybody out there, just a reminder: pump our own Twitter thing, Blue Candle AI. Follow that. Ben, you're going to have a big announcement coming up here in the next couple of weeks about some crypto technology you've been working on. So that'll be coming up. Stay tuned.
I wouldn't say crypto technology. It's just a tool, but it's a good
crypto tool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll let you guys know.
And last thing, we want to continue our streak of having maybe non-traditional or less traditional degen type interviewees. So we're going to be working on getting some more of those in the next couple of weeks, and to keep things kind of interesting. Because I think our last couple with Eric Satz and Steven Cesaro have been great, and I'd like to continue that if we can.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody, stay safe out there. We're going to go enjoy the day here, and Bills versus Commanders.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
All right, we're out.